The AV Life is brought to you by our wonderful sponsors, Audinate, Crestron, Panasonic, and Sennheiser. Thank you so much for your support.
Greetings from Kansas City. This is Renee Benson at AV Renee KC, and you are listening to and watching the AV Life.
James King here, writer for Higher Ed Digital Magazine, HETMA board member, co-host of Basketball Programmer. Again, Google me, you'll find me, and you are watching and listening to the AV Life.
And I'm your host, Tim Van Wert from Rutgers University and from higheredav.com and from hetma.org. And you are watching and listening to the AV Life. All right. So we are here. We're a small group tonight, but that's okay. We've got, high school orientations happening, and there's been some sort of bug that's been going around, and it's not just here in New Jersey. It seems like it's been across the country, and
it's everywhere. Yeah.
Well, and it's bad when even if just a basic stomach bug is involving the CDC. So that's
exactly.
I saw that. So yeah, it's been going through the schools here in New Jersey, and I think we've actually kind of passed it at this point. Fingers crossed.
Right.
And knock on the laminate that is my desk here. It's been one thing after another, but I think it's partly too because we're not used to being around each other. Like, this is the first full year, I think, of like normality, so I'm not surprised that our immune systems are going, well, what the hell are you doing to us?
Yeah, still trying to get used to everything. I mean, that one I had a month ago or so when I was in San Antonio, I changed my flight, had to get a room for another night. I couldn't leave my room. The hotel front desk was bringing me waters and some Pringles to try to get some more salt. Oh, it was,
wow.
I thought I was dying. I was like, and I'm by myself in a hotel room, right? So it's scary. So I'm glad Nancy's at home, taking care of herself, but hopefully it works its way through and we're all done with that stuff.
Yeah. We got to get all healthy. We got to get healthy before InfoComm in June. So
get all the bugs.
But hey,
come, go,
and hey,
go.
daylight savings is this weekend, so we get our hour of sunshine back. So that's all good things to keep in mind. So
yes, I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, I know. I was reminded. So before we recorded tonight, I had a coaches meeting for my son's baseball little league. So I jumped in on that, and they were like, oh, and you get an hour back next week for practices. And I'm like, oh yeah. I was like, it is that time.
Yeah. Time for me to change the batteries in my smoke alarms at home.
Yes. So this is your reminder on Monday. If you didn't go around to change your batteries, now is the time to go do it. Yeah. So make sure you go. Spring forward. Yeah. You move your clock ahead an hour, and then you go change your batteries in your smoke detector.
That's why I'm not a huge fan of all smart products, but the Nest smoke and carbon dioxide detectors are the best, because not only do they have a 10-year battery on them, the batteries are supposed to last 10 years, but you get alerts when the batteries are low and stuff. And then you can also get alerts when they actually go off. So like there was times I'm like not at home and I get alert that there's smoke in the house or something, usually because the wife is cooking or something set it off. But it's very helpful. So I actually I have a couple of those skate around, and I don't know why people don't do this, and maybe people don't do, and I just don't hear of it. But I actually installed one in my garage. Because how many fires actually start in the garage, but people don't ever put a smoke detector out there?
Well, we know somebody that happened.
Go away.
Right. Yes. That happened to Joe. That was exactly what happened. It started in the
Yep.
garage, and he just happened to his wife just happened to catch it. Like,
No, I think
so
he caught it. He was
or he
right
caught
there.
it. Yeah, he was right there. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
no,
so
you're absolutely right. That's something you don't typically think of.
so the meeting I just came from on a personal level, one of the things we do for the charity organization I am with is support local community issues that come up. And the one tonight was somebody who had a fire. It started with the husband's power drill or something, the battery of the power drill or something or other. And it started in the garage, and their bedrooms are all above the garage, and they got out safe, but everything they have is destroyed. I'm like, yeah, that was started in the garage. So that's a good idea, James. I need to look. If I have one down there, I've never changed a battery in it. I have to look. I have to look.
Well,
or
I feel
pull
like
in.
that one needs to be a smart one though, because you can't just have a regular beeping one, because I'll never hear it. Because like with the way my house is designed is like my garage is attached to the house, but there's my son's playroom is in between, so there's almost like a buffer between the garage and the main house. So it's a weird middle ground. So yeah, I'd have to have a smart one in there in order to alert me that something was happening.
Yeah, that's true.
Either
Well, there you
a
go.
smart one or a house wire one. Like I know, like a couple apartments that I've been living in, they actually have the smoke alarms are actually wired together. So if one goes off, they all go off.
I think that's what I have too. I think that I have, if one goes off, they all go off. But still, if you don't have one down there, you're not going to know. So
I know mine are
to-do
all
list later.
Yeah.
Check the garage.
I know mine are all battery operated, so I know they're not reliant on each other. So
they
I'm gonna have to.
these still use batteries. These
well, they're not hard. They're not wired in. I know that. I have an old what do they call it? The walls are plaster and laughing plaster. So so they weren't wiring up the smoke detectors like that.
Gotcha.
So that's an Amazon check for a smart smoke detector. So I'll put that on the wish list.
There you go.
So so that's why see this is what I love about the AV life. We'll just go totally off on smoke detectors. Yeah.
Information you didn't think you needed, but you did need.
But you did need, exactly. But who would have thought, I don't know, 10 years ago that we would have smart smoke detectors like that, where they can alert you to exactly. Now I know someone's going to say, hey, they have that for like giant corporate buildings and stuff like that. It's like, yes, you could get a fire management system, but the average Joe at their house would never have that. It's like, if you were Michael Jordan and you had your mansion, and yes, you would have that there, but but now you can. So see, I gotta write this down before I forget.
Oh yeah, no, like I said, I've been using them for a while. I definitely like them. And what's nice with at least the ones I've got, they actually will detect different between steam and smoke. So like if you had it near the bathroom, the hot water from the shower won't set them off like some others.
Yep. That used to happen to me in my old house. I took too hot of a shower. I was like, oh, there goes the smoke detectors. Waving the towel. There you go. You're safe.
Yeah, mine seems to be at least
they have that feature.
Yeah, cool. Mine seems to be okay when it comes to that. It's the one, at least, which is a good problem to have. The one that's like in our hallway, like right outside of the kitchen, it's very sensitive. So if something even slightly burns, like it starts going off, and it's like, go put it by the window. Go make sure it's.
And that's one thing I like about the Nest is they actually not only do you get the alert on the app, but you'll get the alert on verbally as well. And what it'll be is, say like you are burning, well, burning toast.
Yeah.
It'll start with smoke is detected. And then it'll give you like, hey, we are starting to see something here. And then when it becomes to a certain level where it's like, okay, now we need to send alert, then it goes off. And like I said, even with the whole smoke is detected, I'll get that alert on my phone. And then when it's cleared out, it'll say it's been cleared.
That's saying
so Nest, if you're looking for a sponsorship, we'd like to sponsor.
Oh yeah,
well, I was
could
just about to
definitely
say,
use more.
and I have Alexa, so
Don't set
okay,
her off.
yeah, no, she didn't hear me. Well, the one that's on my desk, I've named computer. So yeah, and right now he's muted, so he cannot hear me, or I've silenced his microphone. So yeah, computer over here. I'm of that house. So yes, I would need a ring version of that. So
Funny.
which I'm actually looking at right now on Amazon. So yes, Amazon or Google, if you're listening, we are definitely open to sponsorships
Oh yeah,
for higher
I
ed
can use
AV.
more cameras.
Yes.
I got ring cameras.
Yeah, more
They're
more
always
cameras,
listening.
more detect. Yes. Well, yes, they are always listening.
Yes, they are.
I'm gonna get a notification for tomorrow saying we
Yep.
heard you talking about sponsorships, and here's what we found is your search engine.
That's funny.
So yeah, so it's this week is I'm just gonna I'm giving it to, I know the month of March is Women's History Month. March 8th, which just passed, as we're recording this, was International Women's Day. And there was, I applaud our industry 110% today and every day, because this was probably the biggest outpouring of support that I have seen thus far. I mean, maybe I'm a little more, okay, so it's not just me. I was just like, maybe I was being a little more heightened as far as that, but I think between the fine ladies at Wave It and just all the organizations in general, I think that we've seen more awareness to everything. And I mean, and I'm glad, Renee, you noticed it as well, that it wasn't just me.
I definitely saw a lot more, and I was happy to see organization like Wave It, and a lot of ally companies that are supporting them and females in our industry. But I also wonder how much of like some of these bigger companies who were doing this was more of a that's what you do. Like and I hate thinking that way, but it was actually, I read this story about during the whole Black Lives Matter movement, where companies were posting that stuff, but that's all they did. They actually put no action behind their words. And then once the like everyone calmed down, they went back to their normal behavior. And so that's my fear, is like, are these companies just doing it because that's what you're supposed to do? Or are they actually truly trying to change the organization like Wave It is, and HEPMA with Prism Scholarship, and other allies who are actually trying to be better?
Right.
Sorry, I know I went a little dark there.
That's okay. No,
but
go ahead, Renee.
I think even if the people are just doing it to go through the motion, I think you can only do that for so long. Like there are a few companies or a few people that on Twitter I saw, and I thought, oh, that's nice, because I don't remember them doing this last year. But you're only going to be able to do that for so long until they go, okay, what are you doing about it? And I know when I onboarded initially with Sony, that's one thing. You're obviously, it's optional to answer, disability, veteran status, all the things that you can answer. And I'm like, no, let's do it, because they're trying to move the needle and make sure they're more open to and having that diversity in the company. And so that was cool. But I mean, but I think even if you do that, you're just doing the motions, you're not gonna be able to do that very long. We're gonna catch up with you, and so
well, yeah, because the data is going to show. The data is going to show at some point whether you're actually doing the right thing or if you're, like you said, going through the motions. So, eventually it's going to come out that, if the percentages don't go up the way they're supposed to go, and that we don't, if equity is not met, or equity, I always screw this one up. It's equity, right? We're trying to get everybody on the same level. So yes.
Yeah.
And once equity is met, like, until that time, like, I mean, eventually it's going to come out that you're part of the problem, not part of the solution. So, now
I did like seeing all the posts and all the people that were out doing it. Even there was, EFAT, I think, posted something on Twitter. They were doing an event the night before, and there were men in the picture that were there supporting the event, and it was just like, that's really cool. So I mean, I think it's definitely the bar graph is going this way, definitely, for sure. But Hetma and Wave It, we got to start somewhere, right? And so getting our companies behind us to do it, and actions, right? Actions are louder than the words. So we'll get there. I'm really excited about Wave It and what they're going to do, and so we'll see.
Yeah. Well, if any of them happen to be listening to this episode, keep an ear out for me reaching out to you, and we'd love to have you on to talk more about your amazing organization that you got going.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that would be great.
So, it's interesting that, at least for a personal standpoint, that March 8th is International Women's Day, because that's also my mom's birthday. And for those who know, I lost my mom 2 years ago during the midst of all the COVID stuff. It wasn't COVID related. She had dementia, Alzheimer's, and we knew it was coming from, but she's part of the reason I am who I am. So that nerdy guy, that everyone knows and loves. And she's not my biological mother. I'm adopted. So there's a love beyond even just the blood that flows through my veins, that she had for me and for my sister as well. Also adopted from different family and all that too. So I've talking to my dad in these like last almost two full years since she passed. She sacrificed a lot for all of us, and she was that mom that just did everything, like, whether it was baking, whether it was being involved with the PTO, whatever it might be, and I married a woman that's very much of the same vein. She sacrifices every moment that she can to do things for the school and for our son. And so I've definitely blessed myself to be around some very strong and caring women that have just made me a better person over all those years. So I saw my dad yesterday. My wife and son came along too, and we went and visited mom, and went out to dinner, and talked a lot, shared some videos, and talked a lot, and remembered her. And so it's it was a good day to, I think, in general, for me. So I saw all the posts from everybody that I worked with, and that are involved in our vertical, or our community as a whole. And I also got to spend it with my family as well, to remember a very strong woman. So that's
awesome.
Just, so
well, happy heavenly birthday to your mom.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
and how special that she chose you. You were chosen, and your sister. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's and they say you marry somebody like your mom, or like your father. That's great, and you deserve that because you had that, and that's awesome. That's great. I can't believe it's been 2 years. I'm like, oh
Yeah, I know. It'll be 2 years in July. Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah.
this
So
summer.
and I got so much outpouring of support from the entire AV community when that happened, and because
Yeah,
it came out of left. I mean, it didn't come out of left field, but at the same time it did. Like
yeah,
it was, we knew it was coming, but you just never know when it's gonna come. And but anyway, I want to.
yeah,
I've already been down this
yeah,
road. Let's. That's an old episode from 18 months ago or something like that. So, um,
yeah.
so I think this was a good opportunity that we were able to kind of like focus in on the women in our lives and obviously here on the AV life, we have some very strong women that are part of our group,
We
which
do.
is surprising as we're as we're recording this episode. It's James and I with Renee, as opposed to James and I and Renee and Murphy and Nancy and Kim. Like
Yeah, yeah,
we have a very well balanced team here, and Renee, I mean, clearly, yes, you and the rest of the crew are our lady crew, female women crew. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
usually separate you from the rest of the crew, so like
yeah.
everyone's just
Right.
the crew.
It's just the crew.
So I don't
Right.
know how to refer to that. Um, so yeah,
Yeah,
so we're very blessed here on the AV Life to have the strong women's support that we do. So
absolutely. Yeah,
mhm.
it's been a great ride so far, and I've been really blessed with so many people along my journey that I can't even I don't know that I could even start. And it's so funny because people come into your life because you're at this job or you're at this event or you're at this thing. And the really cool thing about our industry, and I know everybody was celebrating International Women's Day as a whole, but I kind of focused in on our industry, right? And I was just looking around and I'm like, there are just strong women everywhere. It's surprising to me when you hear people talk about the numbers. Like I want to say last time I heard Corey Shaper talk about it, we are like 14%, or maybe it was 17% or something, or maybe it was Tammy, but it was that our numbers have gone down a little bit, right, since COVID, because some of the women stayed home to take care of the kids and didn't go back to work or
Mhm.
that sort of thing. So we kind of had, you know, peaks and valleys, and now we are you know, trying to build that back up coming out of COVID and all that such. But what I think is really cool is that like the NSCA events where they're trying to focus on let's talk to these kids in high school. Let's talk
Mhm.
to the kids and let them know that this isn't just a boy or a man's world, right? Like a girl can get in there and pull cable. A girl can sit at the in the back of the room doing the sound checks and that sort of thing. And I know even at my church, they're trying to get some of the high school kids to come in and play with it and make it fun. And it's like, let's get the girls in here. You know what? We got to start young, right? And I know you guys in the higher ed sector, you've got student workers and that sort of thing that you can try to go, hey, come on, kids, come in here. But
Mhm.
let's start young. Let's start younger. Let's start in high school. Like, hey, let's go. And I don't know what Wave it's got a plan to do. I think it's a new organization, but it might be that we go, hey, let's all challenge each other by on career day, we go talk to a local high school. We'll go
Mhm.
talk to everybody about what we do and that you can be successful and it's not like it used to be where it was just the TV repairman. My mom always said, you mean like a TV repairman? No, mom, not just man can fix a TV.
Mhm.
But that's the old school way of thinking, milkman or TV repairman or it's always was a man. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. And but
Right.
I think that's where we need to be called in, all of us and the guys that support us in this industry. How cool is that too? That we have that support, and I think we got to get the word out there. We just got to do it a little younger. I think hitting the high schools and career days and that sort of thing is we got to do a little bit better job of that. But
Mhm.
we'll get there. We'll get our numbers back up. Tell them to follow us
Yeah.
on social media. Come follow us on social media. Look how much fun we have at InfoComm and at the
Mhm.
events and all the stuff.
I definitely agree with that. So it's and yeah, come and check us out at InfoComm and see what's going on.
Yeah, wear good shoes. and be ready to not get
Yes.
much sleep, but be ready to have a lot of fun with your friends in the industry. Yeah.
And if you need help getting there, go apply for the Prism Scholarship.
100%. Yep.
Hetma.org. There you go.
Yeah. That's so cool. I mean, that's what James is talking about. The actions speak louder than the words, right? Like you're actually putting that to the test. So that's great.
Right. And it's with great partnerships that we have, like Avixa,
Yeah.
who enable this to be able to happen. Without them like being at our back, I mean, I'm sure we could do something, but it wouldn't be as impactful. And they are
No.
committed, and Avixa is committed as well to being that voice and bringing that equity to everybody. So
Yeah. I mean, it's great to have that partnership there. And again, that's Avixa too. Avixa and Hetma working together. They both are putting more out there than just the words or just the tweets or whatever. But I follow Avixa, and at one point yesterday, I was like, "Oh, I might have to unfollow them for the day," because there was so many tweets going about. But it was great. It was really great to see everybody. So yeah, we'll definitely have to, Tim, you have to put a shout out to the Wave It ladies and invite them to come talk about that, what they're doing and their initiatives. And I signed up to be a member, so I'm just waiting to see, like, okay, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
So, let's bring him on here and go, you heard it first on the AV Life.
Yeah.
Excuse
Definitely.
me. So James, what about you? What are your what's the word I'm looking for? Your observations from the last 24 to 48 hours, I guess, as women's International Women's Day has come and gone at this point, the specific one day.
I definitely, as I mentioned earlier, I've seen a lot of posts and a lot of allies for International Women's Day, which is great. I'm hopeful that the support will continue, and I know me personally, I I'm learning. I've been learning a lot from this book I'm reading. The person you mean to be, or you're meant to be. And like, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people, you guys would consider me a good person and an ally for females, an ally for minorities and stuff. But there's the thing is, I've read it in this book, and it made me sit back and think. One of the stories that was being told, the guy always thought he was a champion and a supporter of females, and he took one of these, I forget the abbreviation for it, but he took a test that is supposed to gauge your unconscious bias. So we process about, I think it's 99.99996% of everything we process is unconscious. We have no, like, it happens. And there's a site you can go to and you can take certain tests, and it's designed like you have no time really to think about the questions. You just react to gauge your unconscious bias. Well, he found he had a very strong unconscious bias against females, so like putting them in what society puts females in. So he actually took an audit of his contacts, and it felt the same way. He like his contacts were only like 10% females. His interactions on social media was like 5 to 10% female. Rest were cis white males. So he's like, all right, I can do better, and he is actively working on it. And that made me start thinking. And I'll admit, I did not do the numbers on mine, but I saw my contacts were not equally balanced, and my interactions are not equally balanced. So I'm actually purposely or mindfully thinking now, like, I'll start going through it and I'll see a pose, and I'll pick on Renee because I know Renee's awesome. Say Renee posts something, And I'll do this a lot. A lot of times I'll just scroll by posts, but now I'll see, it's like, all right, Renee posts this. If this was the same post by Tim, would I have liked it? Would I have commented on it? Would I have just ignored it? And so I'm mindfully now thinking, when they are my people who look like me comments, I take a little more, I process a little more. It's like, all right, this post, would this, if it was somebody else, would I have made a comment? And if I would, why I'm not making a comment now? So I'll make a comment or like it or share it or retweet it. I'm trying to interact more with my female contacts and gain more and expand my horizon.
That's not, yeah. See, and that's, you making a conscious effort to make a difference in what your daily actions are. That's what, yeah. And I'm telling you, when I started in this industry, of course, I'm not going to say years or anything because I'm old, but when I started, I'm driving around the Midwest and, a younger gal walked in. I didn't get taken serious by a lot of people. It took a long time before, I gained the trust of one or two or three that would recommend me to the next one or two or three. And it took a while. And, and I was like, well, good thing I'm a stubborn mule sometimes, because I'm like, oh, if they think they're going to let me fail because I'm a girl, and so, but it set who I was and who I am. And, it's funny because now I've got a new position at a new company. Well, guess what? I put people down for my reference, and I one of my meetings I had yesterday, he said, I was at an event in Orlando. There were 800, employees there. He's like, Renee, your name got brought up several times, and you're really well respected in the industry. And I was like, really? Well, had you have told me that 15 years ago, I'd have been like, really? Because they won't even let me in because I'm a girl, So it's for me, it's like, oh, it's come a long way. It's come a long way for me. So, and I'm like, oh, it made me feel good because I know what I went through, and I'm hoping that women don't have to go through that anymore, right? And and you still see posts. I saw a post maybe a week or two ago on LinkedIn, and there was a golf event, and there's 15 men standing there and a bunch of middle-aged white men, right? I'm like, well, what was happening at that event? Because I've been to some golf events lately where it's like there's a whole bunch of gals out there golfing with the guys, so like James said, some people are making it happen, some are just saying the word. So
yeah, there's still work to be done. And
there's totally.
And I, not that I want to thank you for your struggle, Renee, but your struggle and your perseverance, that's a better way of saying it, over the years has paved the way to make it easier for the next generation.
Absolutely.
And I thank you for that, because that for what we're trying to accomplish now, that is making it a little bit easier for this next generation. I hope they recognize that. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they do, but that's always the hope, is that you want them to see the progress that's being made.
Yeah, absolutely. And all you can do is just try to be better, right? We're just trying to be better and make it the world a better place. And I mean, whether it be International Women's Day or Black History Month or whatever, we should all do better for all the things, right? And just in general, a better person, always.
Yes, I agree. Yes, I 100% agree. And I know there's always going to be room for improvement. We're going to fail as an industry. Occasionally, when you have this many people and this many moving parts, there's going to be failures that happen. It's a matter of learning from those and moving on. And
absolutely.
I think so far we've done a very good job of that. Whether it's I'm going to go back to the booth babes back with Corey, and that was addressed
absolutely,
and it was changed, and we moved forward.
Absolutely.
And now we're tackling the equity, and that is the next thing, and we're working on that.
Right.
Now that's a bigger issue. But there's progress, and it's we're keep moving forward. And I know that's something I've said before on this podcast. I referred to the Disney movie Meet the Robinsons. And we keep moving forward. That is the key phrase. You're gonna fail, things are gonna happen, you learn from those failures, but you still keep that forward motion. You could make it as a football reference as well. So
there you go. Well, I think Murphy talked about it on her PN Minute last week, right? Like, even if there's mistakes along the way with the project, you get through to your goal, and then what did we learn from this, and what do we need to do different next time? And so
exactly,
it's funny how that can fall into so many facets of our life, right? You can make it happen. So
you're not just project managing, your projects, you're project managing your relationships and things like that. So we unfortunately had to lose James. We started a little late here. That was kind of my fault because I had other things. Too. We're getting to that point in the year where things there's more things that seem to be happening. So hopefully over the course of the next couple of weeks before we get to InfoComm, things will maybe settle down a little bit. I doubt it based on our conversation from last week. But
I love your positive thinking, Tim, but I think we're gonna
I am the eternal optimist, and that things will always go our way. So
all right,
for better or worse, that's
great subject, and I hope that we can carry it on in a later episode with some of the other really amazing women that we have in our industry. Like I look up to them, and I don't even know if they know it. I follow their posts and I read their articles, and maybe I don't do a good enough job of saying, this really affected me, and this really, hit home for me, or, and maybe I need to do a better job myself too of that, or sharing something that they posted that affected me. Maybe I should do a better job of sharing that with people. So again, always be improving, but hopefully we can chat with them. Maybe we'll have them on soon.
That'll be the hope. So so thank you to James for joining us tonight, and he's running off. Thank you, Renee, for everything as always. Thank you to our listeners for spending a little bit of time with us this week. We're a little shorter than usual, but
all right.
It's a great conversation for tonight. I think this was perfect, and a good way to wrap up my week here. And we'll see you next week. And as always, till our next adventure.